I have had a day of days, so you know what? Let's just do some director's perspective, look at scene work, and try to relax after the chaos I've had today. Today, we are going to be talking about When He Sees Me from Waitress. I am going off the Kimiko Glenn version of the song. I've never seen Waitress in full, but I have seen a lot of clips, so I really love this song. It'll be the first song that I'm doing a director's perspective on, so let's jump right into it and see what we got. You know how I love some good traffic work, that good split, keeping Dawn at the center of the triangle. It's a loose term for it. And I love the subtlety and bigness balance that Dawn has throughout this. She's a big, quirky character, but at the same time, there's a lot of subtle movement in there that adds to the comedy that the audience can still pick up on, even in a theater like this. This is totally life. Testing with real things, usually facts and figures. When information's in its place, I'm in my guessing game. I love the use of the counter in this too. There's great props usage in this. It's all very comedic, so I'll keep saying comedy, comedy, comedy. But the way that Dawn moves around the shop, reorganizing everything, it's just such a great use of the set. I love how she's lining up the ketchups and the mustards. So just to give you an idea of how analytical her brain is, and she's not cut off by the counter. She's still giving plenty of energy to be the epicenter of the song. So just remember to not get upstaged by your props or your sets when you are acting, or letting it happen to your actors as well, making sure that that is addressed in a performance. I also want to say I love that each character is in a different positioning. It's all very natural, but I like the tall lean that we have Jessica Mueller in, and oh my god, what is the other woman's name? Because you know what I'm talking about. The just variations to keep this little grouping interesting, even though they're pretty much on the same plane. There's almost like an extra level even there. Before she gets into this next part, I also feel it's important when you're playing so many bits of, I guess I'll call them prop comedy. It's important that when you're going between beats, those comedic beats, the tasks that she's doing, that it doesn't seem like, oh, I did this, now moving on to this. She carried the thought through from one thing to the other, so it's just her natural movement, and she's just using things to convey her thought process, and things are triggering another thought for her, as opposed to, I was told to do this, now that I have to do this. Plan A, B, C, connecting the dots that way. It has to flow a lot more organically, which is, she does it really well here. She has a beautiful connection between her voice and her physicality here, too. She's very subtle. You can see she's strong on her feet. Almost like she's about to go into a bit of a lean, but she stays pretty sturdy and just speaks on this part, so she has some place to go when we go throughout the song, something to build to physically, vocally, and even if something's a little like she's floating more in a falsetto at this point than belting, which is another way that she will increase the dynamic later on in the song. We'll move into the belt part. And as with most every song, but especially songs like this, some good work to be done with it first before applying melody to it is work the lyrics in a monologue sense so that it grounds it, keeps it in reality, and helps you connect the pieces from moment to moment, thought to thought. And I want you to notice that there are 3 guys in this moment. Comedy comes in threes, so I'd assume that's part of it. Comedy, triangles, creating interesting depth in the scene. But I think there are 3 people specifically to play into comedic moments so she can pop from guy to guy to guy in one of her little comedic bits, like cleaning them off with the towel. That was a great point where you could see, like, oh, she saw something, then she had the thought and the fear, and then acted on it. Like, oh my god, his socks don't match. What if the guy's colorblind? So that was a nice moment, too. And I love, so playing into the musicality of the song can give you a lot of hints how to play the emotion of it, how to play the character in that moment, and the patterning of where she's going. When the music slows down, instead of making that, what do I do with that, like crazy, like, what do I do with that? Instead, she's like, what do I do with that? And that stillness, it's like she's broken. Literally, what do? I don't even know how to breathe anymore. It's a great comedic moment right there, and I love how she keeps coming into this certain place on the stage to tell you she's getting more into her head and being a little bit more vulnerable, putting herself literally on the spot to tell you what's really bothering her and what she's afraid of. It's great. And vocally, I want to keep in mind that those gasps she's putting in there, probably not voluntarily, but because of all the motions she's doing, she's sucking on air, trying to get everything out. But I would say it's okay to leave stuff like that in because it's playing on a lot of how she's feeling emotionally, a lot of anxieties, getting lightheaded and needing more air. So the gasping doesn't really bother me on that. As long as it's healthy and it's not making her vocal cords rub together too manically, it's okay with me. And I also love that the choreography, I believe throughout this show as well, is very pedestrian. It's very everyday fairly simple movement, but it's just done in a very elegant way and great timing that keeps everything grounded and still a little bit floaty at the same time, a little bit poetic. So that's something, I don't know, I like it. Awesome. And I feel like in that moment, we also get the very basics of staging, which includes creating windows. We have our primary characters who are in their own plane, playing their own dynamic triangle. And then we have the background acting, the ensemble, playing into the windows of that, but not interrupting the scene and still coming across naturally. So remember, it doesn't matter how advanced you are, windows are important. If you're going to put someone on stage, you most likely want them to be seen. So I feel like it's really nice and organic and organized on this stage picture. So that was When He Sees Me from Waitress. I really can't wait till I can watch this entire show. It has this great grounded energy. I loved her realism in the emotion of the song. It wasn't too stagey, too musical theater, because this is a real story. So we have to remember that, and remember that we're talking about real people. So creating something that's more extravagant, more showy, it really isn't the way we'd want to go here. So, and they also play really well into listening to the music, hitting the beats really nicely, and it adds a great layer. This is a great example of how set and lights and music and actors, if they're all listening to each other, can create something truly poetic, something that moves organically and easily and just is gorgeous to look at. So, here the video ends and the work begins. Let's support each other. Bye-bye.